Hello and welcome back to Copy and, the marketing podcast that teaches you how to write copy that sounds like you but converts better. And as we are here entering 2026, I want to talk about money. We're going to talk about how to talk about money on your sales page. In the last episode, I told you what your sales page needs to have to convert this year. And I got a lot of heat on Threads recently for talking about this, but one of those key things is you need to talk about money. Especially in the online business space, where people are trying to compare apples to apples, it pays to be super clear about what you offer, what's included, and what that baseline cost is going to be. So today we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about all the different ways in which we can use our words to sell our service, even when talking about something that can be kind of uncomfy. Because here's the thing, when you talk about money on a sales page, you are preventing having to talk about money or drop a big scary price tag or give people sticker shock on a sales call. So your sales page and writing about money is one of the most important components of your entire sales process. So we're going to talk today about how to frame up the pricing and how to talk about price even when your services might not be one size fits all. Let's jump in. So first of all, why should we talk about money on our sales pages? Why should we discuss the investment? Is because talking about money signals trustworthiness. It signals that you are going to be clear and easy to work with because you're giving them the immediate questions, you're giving them their answers up front. And it's an opportunity to build perceived value. Money is a sensitive topic, especially I'm American. In my culture, money can be a sensitive topic. I remember vividly being told as a kid that there are things that we don't discuss with people are money, politics, and health. It's at the top of the list of things that people don't like to talk about. So I want you to be able to build this perceived value so that, one, people can absorb this information more comfortably. We are making your work more accessible. And when they know how much it costs, then when they get on your calendar for a sales call, you don't have to be uncomfortable by dropping a big number on them. And they're already prepared to make the investment, so those sales calls can turn more into scoping calls where you really lay out, this is what I can do for you within this budget, and that number becomes a lot easier to talk about. So let's talk about how to frame up your pricing as a hell yes. And I'm going to take a half a step back here. So when I go through this list, I have 4 ways that you can really frame up the ROI of what you offer. However, what I don't want you to hear is 2 things. Do not take away that you need to do all of them. And do not take away that you need to throw everything in the kitchen sink for your offer to be valuable. Sometimes more is more, and adding too many things to an offer just for the sake of framing up ROI can work against you. When we give too much, people can often think that they're not using it all. So for example, let's say that you have a course and you're also giving away 1 million templates and one-on-ones, etc., etc. If somebody doesn't use the templates because they were included in the course, they feel like they didn't get the full value out of the course. However, if you understand and your buyer understands that they are buying one thing from you and that there may be a bonus to get them to buy faster or to opt into a VIP option, they will still understand that they are buying one thing. They're just getting bonuses with it. So what I don't want you to hear is that you should add in a bunch of things to be able to frame up ROI. And I'm going to give you another example here. So we live in a house and we had birds getting up under our eaves. And I was outside reading about a year ago. And I started noticing that it looked like fake snow on the ground. And I learned then that it was falling when the birds were around, which meant that the birds were pulling, I don't think it was insulation, but it looked like plasticky stuff, out of the inside of our house to build their nests. So they were ruining our house. And I called around to a few companies. And I said, how much is this going to take? One guy said, we'd have to come out. I really can't tell you unless I look at your house. I said, can you send you pictures? And he's like, no, I really need to come out. I'm like, okay, I'll get back to you. I called my second person. And the second and third person were very similar. They said, I've worked on houses in your neighborhood. The typical investment was this much. And this is what I also offer. One of those people said, yeah, we do a 3-house call plan where the first one we come and fix it, the second one we come and make sure everything's fixed, the third one we come out and make sure that everything's fixed so there's no birds and that there's no further damage to your house. And we also have a team that does solar, so if you need solar on your roof, you can let us know. Third guy, very similar pricing, said, I've worked on houses in your neighborhood before. This is how much you could expect to pay, and we come out one time, and we make sure that we do it right. However, we have a 365-day guarantee. So if you notice that the birds are still coming back, or they've made it their home and they want to get into their home, if you notice that they're successful in that, for a full year, you can call us, and we promise we'll come out within 1 business day and redo our work so that you are bird-free for life. I ended up working with the third guy because he was transparent about his pricing, and I knew that he was going to do his best to get it done in one, that I didn't have to make a bunch of calls back. So I didn't buy the package of house calls. I bought the solution, knowing that the second and third guy were basically offering the same thing at the same price. It just seemed so much easier, and I knew that I wouldn't use his quote-unquote bonuses of unlimited house calls if I didn't need them. It gave me a perception that his core service was going to work the first time and it was going to be valuable. I'll also tell you that the birds did exactly what he said they were going to do, and they came back and they pulled the wire off of the inside of the eave, and we did have to call him back. But I knew that it was included kind of as a bonus versus thinking, okay, now I've used one of my 3 calls and I'm going to have to keep this guy top of mind to keep coming out to my house. So I say that so that you can see an example of somebody who's probably not in your industry talking about price up front and what he did to build the value around his service. If you're listening to this, it's because you probably have a sales page and you probably want it to convert better. I'm doing a sales page refresh workshop for 60 minutes on January 5th, and I would love for you to come. It's free, and we're going to go through and workshop the 3 key areas of your sales page that you need to optimize for sales in 2026. You can join me at nomadcopyagency.com/masterclass, and of course, the link will be in the show notes. So, you, as an online service provider, are writing a very different sales page. In my last episode, I talked about how to build from the top of the page all the way down through the problems and the solutions to get to this investment section to make the investment an absolute heck yes for your readers. So, we're not just showing up uneducated at this investment section, but we do need to build value right before we drop the number. So, how do we do that? There's 4 ways. 1, you could remind them of the opportunity cost of how much they are not spending elsewhere. For example, I could have hired an exterminator and a roofer, and I could have gotten my house redone and all of the things, right? So there was an opportunity cost that could have been tens of thousands of dollars to solve this problem. As an online service provider, maybe you're a digital personal trainer. You work with people virtually. You could say something like, local trainers are going to charge you $200 or $300 a month plus no-show fees, and that's just for 1 session a week. So you're starting to say, this is what you could be paying if you didn't work with me. The opportunity cost. You could talk about time cost and give them a reframe. You could say something like, but with my personal training, you get to work out one-on-one with a trainer without spending all of the time going back and forth from the gym or trying to coordinate schedules. So I'm making it out to be that this is just a time obligation for when we're working together, not all of the other time I would waste in my life just trying to get to be one-on-one with this person. As an online service provider, you could also do value stacking. You could say something like, again, using this personal trainer example, plus you'll also get easy to follow meal plans so that you can meal prep for a full week in just 90 minutes. So that's value stacking. They get something additional as the meal plans. You could also say something like, I sell these separately for $150 for a pack of 4 meal plans. So we're adding value. So far, 3 out of the 4 is the opportunity cost of money, opportunity cost of time, value stacking, and then finally, just value anchor. Talk about the real stinking value of what it is that you're offering. So if this is a personal trainer, they're saying, healthy people save money. Healthy people do not go to the doctor as often. Healthy people are not spending a bunch of money going out for drinks and food and like the freaking Cheesecake Factory all the time. They're saying that you spend less going to the doctor, your deductibles could be lower, all of these things. Like the value of working out is unsurmountable. The value of working out with me is that it's easy on your time, easy on your budget, and I'm going to double down on that by physical health plus nutrition, and I'm going to make it incredibly affordable at just $200 a month. So there's the value of what you're getting, value stacking, looking at time, looking at money, looking at the risk of not taking action. All of these things then build you towards a really easy frame up of what it is that you're offering. In this case, I used the example of personal training. All of these other things are super expensive. You can work out online with me for just a few $100s a month. This would be a perfect package for somebody who has preloaded workouts and it's all there and every client gets the same thing. But what if you're somebody like me who's a bespoke service provider? I always say that every business I work with gets copy that sounds like them but converts better. That's absolutely true. However, I just worked with a client who had a 2-month-long launch window. She needed 27 emails, 2 sales pages, opt-in pages, checkout pages, thank you pages. Like, she needed the works. A lot of my clients are just like, hey, Sam, it's the beginning of the year. I've tinkered with my sales page so many freaking times that I don't feel like I know that it says anything correctly anymore. Can you go in and rewrite my sales page? And that's like a relatively small project, right? So I need to get people on the phone and I need to talk to them so that I can scope things for them. So how do I do that when my services aren't one size? How do you do that when your services aren't one size? You have a huge opportunity for case studies. Case studies can also be used as blog posts. You can put them on Pinterest, just about anywhere for content repurposing. Case studies can really grow legs for you if you want them to. They can help with your SEO. They can add additional pages to your website. You could say, here's an example of a more robust project. We worked on X, Y, and Z. These were the outcomes that they got. Their investment was between X and Y. And then you give another project example that's something that's smaller so that you say, this is what's typically included for a small project. Common investment is $3,000. So you can give a range, or you can just add words around it that are a caveat that the typical investment is $3,000. You could also give a starting point. So one-on-one projects starting at $2,500. Then the next step is to get on a scoping call. How will they understand that? Because you will put that on the button. To understand what this looks like for you, get on my calendar here. It's that easy. So, do we want to have pricing on our website? Yes, absolutely. To create clarity, desire, and ease for your readers. To create clarity, desire, and so much ease for yourself in your own business. You can do that in 4 ways. There's a lot of ways, but my favorite are the opportunity cost of money, the opportunity cost of time, value stacking, and value anchoring. Just really driving home the value of what it is that you do. I want you to come at your sales pages from a place of abundance. I want it to be so freaking easy to choose to work with you. Your investment section is just one part of your sales page. So if you're like, Sam, what the heck goes on the rest of my sales page? Go back an episode. I talk more about the 3 keys of the 3 key areas that should be on every sales page. And of course, know your audience. If your audience has more questions, then put that on your sales page. Your sales page should be full of exactly what your people need to know in order to buy. When you know what your people need to know to be able to buy, that's your outline for your sales page. That's where you go back, fill in the details, and hit publish. I know it's not easy. It takes years of talking to your people. It takes getting feedback in feedback forms, voice of customer research, etc. But if just the writing part feels really hard for you, grab a spot on my calendar. I'm happy to take this off your plate. You can reach me at nomadcopyagency.com/contact. Of course, this will be linked in the show notes. And I'm the one answering my DMs, so feel free to say hi on Instagram. I'm at nomad.copy. And I want to see you sell more in 2026. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out. I'm Samantha at nomadcopyagency.com. And again, all of my links will be in the show notes. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next week.